Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Let us pray. God, we thank you for the day you've given us. We ask for your blessings. We move forward with each and every day ahead. And God, we ask you to bless the people of our county, and we ask for your help to keep everyone healthy and safe. We pray for your guidance in the matters at hand and wisdom to make wise decisions for our county. And we pray you look after our first responders and emergency personnel and keep them out of harm's way. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Excellent. Okay, the first item on the agenda is public comments, and we have two people that have filled out a participation form. So Bill Sheldon, and you're here to talk about the diamond reveal. You can come on up to the podium if you want to.
So I have flyers for those who would like one, but the whole ones are have established a new program to recognize those in our community that are display exemplary citizenship and then in their personal lives just exhibit what is morally sound and good and be exemplified. And so we're having our first celebration of this sort September 7th, Saturday evening at from 6 to 8 at Franks Phillips College. And one in the room here is being recognized. He doesn't like to be recognized in public, so I won't say his name. But we're really excited to do this. We plan on making this an annual event, probably around the same time every year. And we want the public involved in terms of nominations and just looking at people that are behind the scenes that do so much for our community but aren't recognized properly. And we really want to recognize those that labor in our midst and do great things and continue to show in their personal lives and all that they are and do that they're good people and they're people to be modeled after. So I think we need that in this day and age. So I'd like to give, these have QR codes on them if anybody would like to have one. And this is a ticket site. The tickets are $20. This is not any type of an event where anybody will receive any funds. All the funds go to promoting and to recognizing those that we recognize.
Thanks, Bill. Okay, and then we have a form from Mary Kay Phelan.
I asked, it happened to be on the note, I have 5 minutes, so let's hope I.
Yes, ma'am.
I do want to thank the Commissioners Court for this opportunity as a citizen of Hudson County to come forth and express my opinion. And I want to thank Tara for posting in the newspaper that this salary was going to be mentioned today. So I did some research, and if you want copies, I didn't make copies for all of y'all. So I did some comparison on the counties. So the popular, and the ones I chose was Moore and Gray County because they're close by. We kind of know, the income, they're close to our market value, they're close to the cost of living. So Hudson County, the records show 20,033. Moore is 21,190. Gray is 20,916. Now the revenue for Hudson County is 16,770,000. I've got this off the internet, so if there's any, feel free to correct me. Moore County is 24,439,000. Gray County is 13,251,000. The expenditures for Hudson County is 14,980,000. Moore's expenditures 15,392,000. Gray's is 18,189,000. I think you can see a vast difference between the revenue that comes in and the expenditures that go out. Again, Moore is probably the best revenue at 24 million, and their expenditures are 15. And then we're second at 16 million, and our expenditures are just under 15. So my question then is on the salaries. And well, I went to Gov salaries. If y'all want to check this out, it's pretty fascinating. We all know that the elected officials' salaries are public information. So I went out to Gov salaries. You can narrow down to Texas, to the counties, and to cities and school districts, whatever you want to, and look at these. So what they show is full compensation. So it's not just your take-home pay, but it's retirement benefits, Social Security, bonuses, whatever. It is full compensation. So these numbers do not actually jive with what Tara had in her newspaper. So the county judge for Hudson County shows to be $161,013. Moore's County judge is $97,075, and Gray County is $101,736. The commissioners, Hudson County, $61,979. Moore is $44,122. Gray is $43,482. The sheriff for Hudson County is $85,000. Moore's sheriff is $89,000. And for whatever reason, I didn't put in Gray's County. The clerks for Hudson County is $81,799. Moore's is $88,760. It did make a notation that the $88,000 for Moore County, she makes 50% more than any other county clerk in the state of Texas. And then Gray County's clerk is $62,352. The treasurers for all three are pretty much in line with that. So I just feel that these positions for Hudson County are overcompensated in comparison to other counties that have the same revenue, same population. And so I'm against any increase to begin with, probably the next 10 years, to be honest. Something I think you need to keep in consideration, instead of taking the excess money that what little we have, instead of putting it into salaries, I think we need to put that back into a savings account, because the population for Hudson County, the 65 and older, is the only thing that keeps increasing. So with the Homestead Act, we're not going to get more property taxes to compensate. We're going to start losing less money to do the same job you guys have to do every year. So I would recommend that we take any excess and put that into CDs, savings, whatever we have. I could not find if we had any backup money, which I would hope we would. I'm hoping there would be several $1 million somewhere for a rainy day. So I just thankful that I can express my opinion. I think these positions are overcompensated and we need to reduce the wages because we're not even in comparison to what's around us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Kay. Okay, the next item on the agenda is our consent agenda. Does anyone have any questions? Anything they need to pull off of that consent agenda? If not, do I hear a motion?
I move to accept the consent items as presented.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, the regular agenda, item 1 is to consider and or approve proclaiming September 2024 as Hunger Action Month. So I received this information from the High Plains Food Bank, and they send this to us every year. It's just a proclamation that we recognize September as Hunger Action Month. And it just is in the hopes that we bring attention to food insecurities in our communities and enlist the public in the movement to end hunger by taking action. So do I hear a motion to approve?
Move to approve the proclamation proclaiming September 2024 as Hunger Action Month.
No, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, the next item on the regular agenda is to consider and or approve the invoices on Allen's Tri-State Mechanical and Axon Enterprise Those have to be approved. That policy, and those are attached to your agenda. Does anyone have any questions about those? If not, do I hear a motion?
Move to approve the invoices for Allen's Tri-State Mechanical and Exxon Enterprise.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, item 3 is to consider and or approve the order of election for the November general election for county officers. Do you have anything to add to that, Kelly? No?
I don't. I uploaded it on there.
Yeah,
County
attached.
officers. Yes, for the general November election.
Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the order of elections for November general election for the county officers.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, item 4 is to consider and or approve the joint election services agreement between Borger ISD and Hutchinson County. And that is also attached.
Yes, and they presented an order. They are having a tax election that will be on our ballot for all Borger ISD precincts.
Was the agreement attached?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I knew that did you hear back from Craig?
That was on a different one.
Oh, on a different
with
one, okay.
Rich.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's where I sign it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
They scribbled out and
Oh.
Craig has approved
This one.
this.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the joint election services agreement between Border ISD and Hudson County.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? There you go. All right, item 5 is to consider and or approve the bond for Shasta Hughes juvenile probation, and the bonds in the amount of $1,000. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve the bond for Shasta K. Hughes for $1,000.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, item 6 is to consider and or approve the transfer of the juvenile pickup to the IT department. So juvenile bought a new pickup. They have their old pickup, which is in pretty good shape, and was wanting to move that over to the IT department for Russell.
So is his going in auction then?
Or if someone else needs it.
Who's taking care of this now? I mean,
Well, Leisha's got the inventory, right, Leisha?
I mean, I keep up with it for the insurance purposes.
Right. But we just said it has to go through court, so we know where the vehicles are at. And I mean, it's potentially, we could give the pickup that Russell's got now to Glade, because I think it's a better pickup than the one he's driving, and maybe that one could go into auction.
I don't know what Blake's driving now.
Well, not with
He had
our,
a Tahoe, but.
well, yeah, and those were terrible. The Tahoe, I think he had that Tahoe and it broke down again. Did it?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, he went back to his pickup. Russell did.
No, I was talking about Glade.
Oh, Glade, I don't know what he's driving, probably nothing.
I don't know who's doing what. But.
Could we- Do y'all have a problem with moving the juvenile? The juvenile pickup is a pickup that was purchased by the county. The one that they are purchasing is with state funds, so it's not county money. But the one that they have currently was bought with county money. So are you okay with moving that to IT?
So years down the road, when that one gets replaced, they decide what to do with it. Since they bought it out of there.
Yep.
Like we won't. it won't be-
They'll either trade it
Okay.
if they're gonna buy another one.
The
or-
county could purchase it
Right.
from them
or they have to, I think, sell it and return the funds to the state.
Gotcha.
Any other questions, or do I hear a motion?
I move to, for the transfer of juvenile pickup to IT department.
I'll second
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, item 7 is to consider and or approve the application for the Dollar General credit card.
Can I just get a clarification, the pickup that he's driving now, will it just be parked or?
For now,
For now,
yes,
okay.
because I told him to get it back up here and park it at the store. Yeah.
Just to continue on that just a little bit, we've got a pickup sitting over across the street that's been there for months, because we had this discussion in court once that.
I've
Oh,
contacted,
you will take care of that.
I've contacted Jensen about it. But that's when I thought we were gonna put the coolers in there too, so. We would just have that and that Tahoe that's sitting over there for now. I'm not aware of any other vehicles that need to go in the auction. Are you?
I don't know.
Did they not take the coolers when they looked at them, or was it not?
Yeah, Jensen said he could
Okay.
sell them, but that, I guess that's not what we're doing with them.
What are we doing?
I don't know.
Do with what?
The coolers. I mean, they were on the disposal of obsolete office equipment to dispose of them. We're just gonna have someone haul them off.
Who submitted that?
Yeah,
Do what now?
the coolers
What about 'em?
to dispose of them.
Yeah, we're gonna have to take them apart in pieces is the reason, to get them out of the building. Instead of putting them in the auction.
Then we're gonna sell them for us. They weren't gonna sell them for us.
Um, we can try, but they're gonna be junk, because some of them are pretty tough to get out.
So if they sell them for us, we have to get them out, like break them up to pieces, or is it the buyer's responsibility to get them out?
Well, we wanna get them out of the
Yeah.
building, so we have a building left, so. I don't want somebody else going there to get them out of the building. I don't care what's happening to them, as long as we can get them out of there.
We can talk about that later. That
Yeah.
changes the topic.
Okay, so where were we? Item 7 on the Dollar General credit card application. So this mainly comes from the grand jury that they buy supplies for the grand jury, like Cokes and water and stuff like that. And they were going down to, I think Dirk was going down there and just using his own cash or whatever. And then the county was reimbursing him for those supplies. So they just requested we apply for a Dollar General. And it's my understanding Alicia will keep that in her office. And if someone needs to go down there and buy supplies, they can check the card out and
And
use the
it's
card.
kind of countywide too, so we used to have an account set up over at the grocery store where
Right.
people could like, even Roxanne could go over there and get some 409 or whatever
Mhm.
if she needed, but now that the grocery store is closed, we really have nowhere in town to be running.
To grab
Something.
Yeah, something.
That's tax free, and the only way to set up a tax free account at Dollar General is to set up this account. And so they would give us basically a little credit card. It would stay in my office and then people could check it out and go down there. Whether it's the grand jury drinks or.
Or if Roxanne needed
Roxanne
something.
Needed something in an emergency or whatever, instead of having to run all the way to Borger to Ace or.
So I just want to double check so the purpose of this, even though we have a credit card, the purpose of this is the tax exempt.
Yes,
Yeah,
the only
okay.
way to get it tax exempt.
Okay.
To set up this account.
That was my only question. So
Okay, any other questions on that? Or do I hear a motion?
I move to approve, the application for the Dollar General credit card.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, item 8 is to consider and or approve the Westlaw agreement. Craig submitted that. He just said the Westlaw service will take the place of the Lexus service, which we now have. in January of 2025. The monthly cost will go from what it is now, which he thought was around $1,100 down to $280 per month. So it was $1,100 a month. It's gonna go down to $280. And he's reviewed the contract and approved it. So, do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve the Westlaw agreement.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, number 9 is to consider and or approve the interlocal agreement with Sanford Fritch ISD for election equipment.
I've sent this to Craig for approval. He has not gotten back with me. They have 2 express vote machines that they're certified by our Texas approved vendor. They've let us borrow them in the past for large elections. This time they wanted an interlocal agreement. There would be no cost associated other than them allowing us to use the 2 machines, so we can have 2 additional machines for election day for our general election. We need as many as we can get. But Craig I've sent it to him to look over. He just hasn't gotten back with me yet. I think he was out of the office.
Yeah, this weekend. Okay, do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the interlocal agreement with Sanford Fritch ISD for election equipment per approval of Craig Jones.
Thank you. Yeah.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, item 10 is to consider and or approve any ARP grant projects. I did not have any. I didn't attach any. Oh, yeah, there is one attached.
It's just the financials.
Oh, it's just financials. Okay. Item 11, consider and or approve any action from our February, March wildfires. I don't think we have any, Jerry. No, nothing yet. Item 12, consider and or approve the burn ban. We haven't had a burn ban on for a while, so.
Reached out to all of our local fire chiefs and got their point of view on current situation with fuel and what we're dealing with. Our KVDI right now is at a 446, which is definitely getting up there. When we hit our 450 to 500 marks, we start seeing a large involvement. So that's when we start looking at when we need to start implementing the burn ban. Friday we had a wildfire that it was definitely you can tell they were a little more intense than whenever you have green up and whenever you have fuel starting to dry out. They start to work a little harder to get these things out. And the consensus with myself and with the fire chiefs is to go ahead and implement a burn ban. We have numerous counties around us that are starting to do the same thing. Just until we get some decent moisture and start bringing some of these or increasing our moisture, our fuel moisture products. So that's what I'd recommend right now, especially with followers increasing with them.
Okay, any questions for Jerry, or do I hear a motion?
Move to implement the burn ban.
No, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? All in favor? You need to borrow my pen?
I got it. Just pass it. Getting ready.
We talked about it, she was there too early today.
We'll sign that. Yes. Yeah. Item 13 is to consider and or approve the request for use of the club rooms at the Borger Library or Fritch.
I don't have anything to do this time.
I had one after the meeting, so I didn't know exactly what we were to do. It's like we're approving something that happened Saturday. So.
Oh, well, you can go ahead and
Okay.
throw it in there and
So
we'll.
we had a birthday party that happened Saturday at the club room in Fritch. They booked it that Monday.
After
our
the last
meeting.
meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we deny it, do they stay the same age?
They did not have a birthday. Hey, they may like that. I don't know who it is. But yeah, we declined. That means they stay the same age
So you
forever.
make that motion?
Yes, I move to approve the Browns celebration at the club room last Saturday.
A second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. All right, item 14 is to consider or approve any line item changes, transfers, or budget amendments.
I just had one budget amendment to one of the special revenue funds that is no longer being used. And so we are just gonna close that fund out and then several line item transfers moving from one line item to another.
Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the line item changes, transfers, and budget amendments as presented.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. Item 15, consider and or approve advertising, opening, accepting, or awarding bid.
We still have the sheriff's firearm bid going until September the 3rd. Those bids will be opened at 10 a.m. And then the courthouse blinds, those will be opened on September the 9th at 8:30. And then we have a request to go out for bid for the annex to replace some flooring and do some texture and paint in the hallways. Full of other.
I like that you said the courthouse blinds will be open.
Oh, that's.
Whatever.
Easy.
That was cheesy, sorry.
Yeah. Adjunct. Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, do I hear a motion for the annex flooring to go out for that bid?
I'll make a motion to approve advertising, opening or accepting or awarding bids.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. Item 16, consider and or approve donations to Hutchinson County. No? Okay. 17, discussion of county judges and commissioners precinct daily operations. Y'all got anything?
The tag office in Fridge, Carrie and Robin have been working on that, and the new desk was supposed to be, or will be coming in shortly. And there's Delina and Robin are painting that office.
Oh, sweet.
I just got them the supplies. Pretty for me, because I just got them the supplies.
So speaking of the tag office, we're working on the one there in Borger. And we got the wall almost in, ready for the glass. And I had to go down there with them Friday because we had to cut the power off to move some electrical stuff. So we got that done Friday when nobody was there. Moving along.
Have you found anyone to mow yet?
Well, I talked to Eddie. He said he had somebody that'd be great.
Okay,
I'm gonna call him today, or if I don't see him, and see. If not, I'm gonna call it McKinney.
okay.
I think you went down our boat the other day, didn't you?
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
One day, sweet.
Well, they just dropped me. Never did show up, nothing. So I was about ready to get rid of them anyway.
Who's mowing at the library?
I am right now. You want to borrow my mower?
We got that one.
They just,
Yeah, that was
Same people were mowing for you?
well, we had a problem. We had a problem with them not, they were showing up, mowing it, and then not telling anybody. And so unless they tell the staff inside or drop an invoice in the book depository to like prove that they mowed it that day, we told them we're not gonna pay the
Right.
invoices because who knows who did it.
Yeah,
And so we thought we had it corrected, and then they kind of reverted. They were gonna drop the invoices in the book depository for them to have it. And the last two times they just weren't doing it. So I emailed to try to remedy it again, and they just stopped showing up. So I've been
Is that the same outfit that I was using?
probably, yeah, I don't want to say who it is.
Yeah, there's no communication with them.
But it's not that, I mean, I'll find somebody for next year. Right now, I might even buy one of the, like just a electric mower just to keep at the library, because it takes 10 minutes to mow that part out there.
Okay.
So when you go to get it to mow the annex, mow the library for me.
I sent out, oh,
Oh,
no,
go ahead.
I sent out 2 nuisance letters for vegetation that exceeded 36 inches.
Yes, I was gonna talk about precinct 11, which is voting precinct 11. For years and years, ever since I've known, Faith Covenant Church has been the election day polling place for precinct 11. They have been bought out by a daycare. We cannot use that location as a polling place anymore. We have visited with Grace Fellowship. We've gone and looked at the facility in the room that they have thought would be a great idea for us, and we looked, and it's going to be perfect. So I just wanted to let everyone know that precinct 11 will be moving from Faith Covenant to Grace Fellowship on Gardner. We've purchased large signage that we're going to put at Faith Covenant, along with signs on the doors directing them to Grace
It
Fellowship.
has to be over there in that area. Is that why?
It has to be
Yeah,
precinct
precinct.
11.
Oh, okay. I was wondering why you couldn't use the Methodist church.
It's not in the precinct.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, we checked.
Okay.
So they have a very nice room that has bathrooms really close, a kitchenette for our poll workers. It's a very nice room. We've ordered signage and things, so we're
No
preparing.
issue with like handicap or any of that.
No, it's ADA, it works. We're all
Compliant.
of that compliant with all
Good.
of those things, so. We'll be getting it out on social media in any way we can about that change. So just wanted to let everyone know.
Thanks.
Anything else on item 17?
Yeah, I'll kind of let everybody know at the annex, there's a storage building there. And it does have a weed eater. and
Oh, yeah, it's up front.
there. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know, I think they might have to be working on, I'm sure that they have before in the past, but we have all sorts of stuff there. If anybody
Don't be
needs
pointing to me,
to
what are you
borrow-
doing?
Volunteered, didn't he? That's-
Leave there and I have the key, so, and then we have rakes and shovels and everything.
Rakes and shovels too, Chris.
You're
We have
there.
all that.
And,
You're out there, Laura.
You have all the sport, but you know.
so when you all done there, when you get done there, we'll find someone.
Yeah.
I won't do anything, they don't help us.
How many are in there? The mowers? How many, like, there's a couple of mowers in there?
I believe there's a couple of weed eaters, big taller trash can, lots of rake shovels, tree.
I think we had all those in there when the sheriff's department got inmates and used to actually mow.
We have
down
water hoses, there's all sorts of stuff in there. And one by look at it, I have a key.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll
Thanks,
take the
Laura.
good one and leave the other one for Gary.
Thanks.
It doesn't start. Okay, if there's nothing else on 17, let's move on to item 18 is to consider and or approve the sale of struck off tax property and tax deeds. We have one. Was that in your precinct, Chris?
If it was, I missed it.
That's in my,
Oh, it's in your precinct. I couldn't remember. It's been a
oh,
long
this
time.
one's in my precinct.
Oh, yeah, Stinnett. Yeah, you're right. You have anything? There's, Jerry, I think I attached everything on the,
Yeah, it's 801 Brown Avenue, Brown Street. Is that what you got?
yes, 801 Brown Avenue. There, I think, is there a house there?
There's an old rundown house that's really, really bad shape.
Oh, I didn't attach the picture.
I think there's 6 lots 15 through 20. The house is, it says this was appraised at 66,320, but I don't know how that,
Oh,
not even the ballpark. That's not it. Turn on, keep turning. That's not it. Wait a minute. Well, that was a long,
Oh,
that's not,
oh no, there's there's a house on this one.
there's a house right on the corner and most of the lots south side of the house. There's a red storage building sitting there on it.
Oh.
Right on the south side of the house.
All they sent was
That's,
pictures of the inside. It's awful.
I don't know what that.
Oh,
There is a red.
looks like an old trailer. Oh, you've got that. Looks like it.
Yeah, I've got that one. Yeah, the house is really bad,
In bad shape, yeah.
really bad shape.
And they offered 2,700,
Yes,
appraised at 66,320.
yeah, I don't know how they got up that appraisal.
Right.
But, I'm totally fine with that.
Is that a motion?
I make a motion to approve lots 15 through 20, 801 Brown Street for $2,700 by William Simpson.
I'll second
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
John laying out there, isn't it?
Oh, right.
Okay. Angelica, are you still on?
Yes,
She had a comment.
I didn't know if we needed to wait. I just looked on there and I saw that y'all are gonna do budget work session. Do we need to just visit it then? It was about the Axon stuff that we talked about last time.
And are you submitting that as part of your budget request?
Well, that's what I asked last time. Do we need to, do I need to do it through my regular budget or would y'all like to see that through ARP? So that's kind of where we left off. And then y'all asked about, adding it on to the sheriff's office.
Right, yeah, which I think that's not gonna be beneficial, right?
Right, yeah, it's actually gonna be a little bit more, but I also talked to the representative from Axon and he said that the quotes that he sent me in the beginning were without the TAP program. And so I kind of was asking about what the TAP program is, and Marcel and him both told me that it's basically at the end of the 5 years, like with the sheriff's office, that they will renew just the software and the contract, not the equipment. So that's where the sheriff's office is having to renew everything right now because they didn't do the TAP program last time. And so the 5 years now they're having to purchase the equipment. So that was the first quote. I sent y'all all the I forwarded the email that he sent me with those quotes on it, with the TAP and without the TAP on it. So it is going to be a bit of a cost difference. So if y'all want to look at it and let me know what y'all think, like if this is something that y'all want to try to put in my budget. I mean, I'm great with that, but I didn't know as far as the ARP, how that's working out right now. That money needs to be spent. I mean, if we can throw it into there, I mean, I'm good with either one. Y'all just tell me what y'all are looking at.
Okay, then, yeah, if we can discuss that during our budget work session.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks, Angelica. Okay, the next item on the agenda is item 19, which is our public hearing on our proposed tax rate and proposed salary increases. Anybody got a comment? Okay. Next item on the agenda is our budget work session for budget 24-25. And Leisha, did you have anything? I know you sent out new info.
Not really. There's just been a couple of changes for the employee insurance that will need to be updated after they have already turned in their paperwork for open enrollment.
Right.
And it's very, like, I think I've already gotten 4, maybe there's 3 or 4 others that I need to update, so it's very minimal.
So, the Axon was not figured into Angelica's budget because that came later. And Angelica, what was the total on that? I
So,
don't have the info in front of me.
yeah, sorry, I emailed everything this morning. So without the TAP program, we're probably sitting at around 30,000 for the body cameras, tasers, and fleet. And that's another thing that we were talking about with the sheriff's office that probably wasn't going to work, that they'd have to add those because they're not getting tasers this round because they already have that. So that would be separate. With the one that is with the TAP program, which means at the end of that 5 years, I wouldn't have to go back through and get the equipment again and have that cost on there, because that cost just for the fleet right now. Let's see, this one doesn't have it broke down. I'm sorry, software. So the hardware cost for that is around $7,000 on its own. So at the end of the 5 years, depending on where their prices are going to be, you know, at the end of the 5 years, we could be having to do that again with the TAP program, spending a little bit more now to get that, which was only like $2,000. It will cover that hardware cost at 5 years, if that makes sense. So,
And we pay this on a yearly basis for 5 years, right?
so you can, so like with the sheriff's office, same thing. We can either pay it yearly or we can pay it all at one time and have it just pay out the contract for the 5 years. So it just depends on how y'all want to go about doing that. I know with the sheriff's office, it's a little more unreasonable to pay everything right now because it was like 175,000. But with this, it goes from 9,600, I believe, or 9,900.
99,9680.
Okay. So with that one, with the TAP program, it'll go to 16,600. And then with the, I'm sorry, that's the body cams. With the in-car, it'll go to 12,200. And with the body cams, it'll go to 16,600 with the TAP program. Whereas we were looking at, like you said, 99 for the 9,900 for the body cams. And with the fleet, it was 96. So it'll go up 6, 7, 8, about 8,000 doing the TAP, but that will save
So
us.
it's 16,000 and 12,000, so 28,000.
And then still the 9,000 for the taser, that won't change. The 9,000 will still stay there. So it goes up about 8,000 without TAP, which means no equipment at the end of the 5 years. So at the end of the 5-year contract, if I renew the contract at 5 years, we'll have to pay for the equipment again. But with the TAP, which means at the end of the 5 years,
Right.
we will,
They
yeah,
update your equipment.
they just update the equipment and all we have to renew is the contract and the software. And I did, Commissioner Prock, we talked about last time, the watch guard. I did look into that. That only had a 1-year warranty on it. They don't even make those body cams anymore. All I can get is a refurbished one. And then I had the tech support help me update the system to where the timestamp was correct. And when he was with me on my computer trying to get that fixed, he told me that if I renewed with WatchGuard, that I would have to completely update my software as well, because they don't even mess with that software anymore. It's even hard for them to do any kind of technical support on them because they're just so out of date. So that one's just not even, I'm gonna have to renew one way or another with my body cam for sure. So I think it'd be a good idea just to, get on with Axon because it is with the county as well. We'd all be on the same systems, just in case I ever needed to dock mine to, get it charged up or anything like that. I mean, we'd all be on the same system.
I noticed you are doing two. Is it for your reserve or just to have a backup?
So both. I thought about that, and yeah, one for the reserve, because like the other day we had a writ of possession that she had to come help me on because it was so it was a large writ of possession that we had to be out on, so she came and assisted. But just like with that, she really needs to be covered with the body cam as well. And it'll also help me because if I'm usually out, if anything ever happens and I have to get it repaired or anything like that, I'm going to be without a body cam altogether. And the same with the taser. That's why I went with two on that. But of course, with the in-car, it was only needed for one.
I would like to just state, and nothing negative, I just want to say, when we approved the reserve, I said we're gonna have to start paying the cost to have that reserve. And this is proof that to have a reserve for an office that usually is just a single office is now costing a little more because we have extra people in that office. And I'm just making a statement. You don't have to respond unless you want, but.
Well, I do want to respond to that.
Okay.
Also with that, I mean, she is coming out, she's working for free, not getting paid. But also for the liability of the county, I mean, she needs to be covered. But also I just got a check in today that was from us doing that writ of possession, and with her being there as my deputy, she brought in $300, and I know that's not a lot compared to what we're fixing to pay, but her going out and assisting is also helping revenue coming in to the office as well. And I mean, I don't know how often that's going to be. I'm not trying to make an excuse for, the cost end of it, but also just saying, she is a benefit to this office as well, being a reserve, because she isn't getting paid for her time out there, but it is bringing revenue into the office.
So you mentioned, I was trying to pull that email up while you were talking and trying to listen. So you mentioned it didn't look like it was going to be a good combination to go in with the sheriff's office. Did you say why? Did I miss that part, or because that?
Yes, so it's going to be a little bit, it's actually going to cost a little bit more from what Marcel showed me, because he's the one that pulled it from his guy, because we have two different people working on our Axon stuff. And he did send him an email. I don't know if Andy's there at y'all's meeting right now, but he should have that email with him, that the guy said that it's going to cost a little bit more. Plus I'm getting a 30% discount for being a new customer. The other issue that we ran into is that if I'm on there with them, they can only group us separately, like them and the jail are currently. And so they will have access to all of my evidence, and I will have access to all of their evidence. So being two separate agencies, that's just not too good of a practice. Just kind of like we talked about the evidence, physical evidence that we hold in our offices. It's just really not, good if we have access to each other. Because if I'm, doing an investigation, or if they are, and, it's kind of something that you need to keep in-house. I mean, it's just not good practice. But those are just a couple of the issues that we ran into with that. But it was going to be about $1,100 each through each of these, like the body cam and the in-car cam. It would be a $1,100 increase to go to the sheriff's office rather than be on my own.
And Marcel did call me and tell me that too. That he initially thought we might get a price break, but Angelica was getting a better deal just doing that on her own. And probably because of the new customer discount. So, any more questions for Angelica?
I know the quote that they sent us does have taxes on it, and you meant, and the numbers we've been talking about or the non-tax numbers, but the quote has the taxes on it, sales tax on it.
Right, he sent me an email that said as soon as we get everything looked at, and he has everything like the W-9 that he'll take the taxes off. But there is a price on there without the taxes, and then it goes to the, like, with the taxes.
99, 96.
Yeah, like without tax and then with tax underneath it, so you can see both.
Okay.
But it will be without the tax. I just need to get that form sent to him, and he said he'd correct that.
Okay, so do y'all want to approve her request for the Axon taser and in-car camera and body cam as part of her budget? We'll just add that on to her budget.
I would,
Or,
my personal opinion is that she just added, like we did with the sheriff's office, add the yearly cost for the next 5 years onto her budget. And not just pay a lump sum out of ARP, but just add it to the budget. Since it will be something,
reoccurring,
yes,
get that, Lisa?
How much was the annual?
and that's just my opinion though,
Right.
Dwight by itself.
I agree. I mean, if we're gonna do that, I'd rather do it annually. Cause it doesn't save us anything to,
No.
just like with the sheriffs, it
Yeah.
doesn't save us anything to versus annual
Um,
versus lumps.
Can you forward all that info to Alicia so she'll have that,
I can.
the annual cost?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's like 6.
And then we'll, if y'all are good with that budget request, we can just add that to her budget.
If the,
That'd be +2.
I keep looking over at the tax one.
Yeah, the first.
3,329 plus. Oop, clicked on the wrong one.
First email 6, just for one
Okay,
taser, car and body cam.
10,000.
That'd be 6 for that. And then second one is 2 body cam.
Open the exact same one.
So are we looking at doing the one with the tap or without the tap as well? So that way I'm clear on what y'all want to do.
I would say my thought would be with. If you're gonna get equipment in 5 years.
Right.
Seems like a better plan, but. What do y'all think?
I agree. Sorry, I was looking at.
Yeah, so it'll be so when the email that I sent that says with the tap, it'll be those 2 quotes. And then it'll be on the second one that says no tap. It'll actually be that taser one only. Because he didn't add it into the tap because I don't think they do the tap with that. Like, I don't think it's under that program. I think that one's just a straightforward quote.
Okay.
So it'll be the 33 for the body camera. And then the 24 with the in-car with the tap at 5 years. And then it will be the 9,000 or sorry, 1,800 for the annual price for the taser.
$7,500 a year? Is that right?
6. Yes, yes.
You guys okay with that
That's for two of them, right?
too?
When your
Yes.
reserve deputy comes, you're always there, right?
Right. She comes out with me, or she'll take my vehicle and she'll go and serve papers.
You don't think that one body cam would show what both of you are doing?
No, because like during our writ of possession, this last time we had to be at two different locations most of the time because she had to be with, because there was just so many people there. We had, I think, over 12 people at that writ of possession emptying that house. So she had to be at one end most of the time and I was at the other. So she was having conversations that I wasn't. So that kind of leaves her unprotected with, you know, what we're doing.
And how many times so far can you guesstimate since we've brought her, or since you brought her on reserve, that she has been on calls where she would need like a body cam throughout the year? In the last year, how many times would you say?
In the last year, it's not been very many, maybe like 3.
Is there a cheaper option to get like a watch guard or something like that for her to have just when she needs it that sits there or something like that? Or is this the only?
I mean, I can give her mine and hope that it holds out. And then if something happens to it, I'd have to get a refurbished one or do the same thing with this watch guard that I did, you know, with that. I mean, I can always do that. The only thing is to, I mean, and this isn't, I mean, it's fine, whatever y'all want to do with it. But if something does happen to mine as well, I'm left without one. So that's the reason why I just went with that. I mean, I know she may not use it a lot, but if something happens to where one of them needs to get sent back because it's malfunctioned, I'm going to be out without a body cam as well.
In those cases, and Laura, you might be able to answer this. In those cases, can they, are these the body cams, are they gonna be interchangeable at all, to where if hers go out, she can borrow one that's not being used possibly for y'all, or is it ID specific for?
So you just check them out. So like, you know, if something happens to mine, I can check out hers under my name and have it on. So that way it's labeled that time stamped basically that it's me that's using it and not her.
They can be assigned, but like when our reserves come out, they all do not have their own. We have some there, like the deputy people there, so they can be charged.
So you'll have a couple extra possibly if she needs one to borrow with that. I mean, I know you can't speak on behalf of the department.
Can't say if she
No,
can, because
no,
it's
that's-
department.
Okay, so it'd be, so like the jail and the sheriffs can't trade because it's different department.
I think it goes into different, doesn't go into a different data bank.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so our evidence is going to be on the cloud. So like the sheriff's office and the jail can probably do it because they're on the same account and because it's all gonna be run under the sheriff's office, so they have.
All on the same account. We're not, we have separate accounts.
A surround sound.
And then we go yearly for 5 years, but we're not on the same account.
It's in groups, but the sheriff's office controls all of that. That's what we were gonna.
No, we don't. The jail has theirs, sheriff's office has theirs, and if something like, if one of the deputies, body cam messes up, like, per se, like one of theirs, you know, Haji Hajar will take care of that and send it off and get it repaired, what we need to do. Monica takes care of their Axon stuff over there, their body cameras and tasers and stuff. So it's 2 different accounts, 2 different line items, so it's not under the same account. So that's what I was gonna say.
But for software purposes, it is, because me and Haji just had this conversation. So like the sheriff's office is, y'all are under, they're under different groups, but the sheriff's office controls the software on it. So they control the evidence on it. That's why me and him were gonna have issues with it, because if we're on the same, because we're in different groups still, he still has all of the access to my evidence, and I would have the access to his evidence. That
Okay.
was the biggest issue.
What came in on ours that me and Jar had talked about, that if something was to happen to hers, then he would have to send it off, make sure it got repaired and stuff, if she came in underneath ours. And I have all the figures right here, what ours would be, and if she came in on ours, what's the difference? I mean, both of it's like $11,000 each. So there's a big difference, but we did come to the conclusion that it's best if she has her own, so she can take care of her own tasers and body cameras in case something does go wrong. But like me and Monica were just, she takes care of the body cameras and tasers at the jail. Hajar takes care of ours. They are two separate accounts. And our reserves, they do not have one, but they use the ones at the office when they do.
But I wouldn't have that luxury. I mean, unless I was on the sheriff's office to, go use one of theirs if something happened to mine.
I'm kind of leaning personally to just buying one, simply because it is a one office per se elected position. And, as we all know, as elected officials, our position's temporary, based on the public. And so I would hate to have, as I heard, we're finding radios that are in storage that we didn't know we had, that are just being uncovered now, that we bought a while back. I just hate to buy extra just in case, and especially something of this large ticket item. That's like me saying I need an extra car just in case mine breaks down. That may be the truth.
It's a little bit different than a car, because this is like, I have to have a body cam. State law says that I have to have that on, while.
Yeah, I'm saying for you, yes.
Right, but if one of them, if something happens to it, if it breaks, if it malfunctions, anything like that, I don't know what the time frame would be for them to get it repaired and send it back. So then,
So what have you done what have you been doing recently, since you only have one?
actually, I had to use one of the ones from the sheriff's office. Marcel actually came out to a call with me, and I had to take one to jail, and he let me borrow it on the way to jail. And just right there, not a good practice for either one of us to have to be in, but I have to do what I have to do. But if I have the opportunity to change that, that's why I was wanting to see if we could, figure out something to where I wouldn't be put in that situation again.
I think there might be cheaper, lower end standbys that would just be, they don't have to be connected to the cloud. They could record for the hour or two, or, a couple of days that you dock in, it saves, like the watch guard or something like that. I have to agree. If all of our offices had, their technology, and I know that it's about safety and stuff, but if all the offices had a spare whatever they needed just in case something went down, that the budget would be astronomical. And so as far as like a spare, there's got to be something like a watch guard or like a lower tiered thing that's just a stamp just in case, that can still record all day, would save it to the side. You could upload it to, like a flash drive or something like that for a couple of days until you got the new unit back. That's just my opinion. And your reserve could use that one too, like when a few times she needed it.
Yeah, the only thing I can do is just keep what I have and just, hope that it stays functioning for a long.
Can you not buy a new watch guard? There's like a new lower end one. I don't want to say lower end, but one that's not on this level of things. There's new ones that we can buy that you don't have to use the refurbished one or the one that we just hope is stringing along.
Right. Let me look, because I don't think I have it with me now. But I had how much that other one did cost back Oh, yeah, I do have the information. Give me just a second to pull it up. So just purchasing this back, and it's been since '01. I mean, I can look and see what it would cost to purchase it again, but it looked like it was about $1,000 just to do the basic camera with the software now that's outdated. But like I said, that one only came with a year warranty, so I'm assuming that the next one's only going to come with a year warranty. But I mean, and that was back in 2021. But I mean, I can always look under WatchGuard, and then I mean, if y'all are good with it, since we're fixing to set my, when are y'all gonna finalize the budget here within the next couple weeks? I'm assuming by the mid-September. I mean, I can try to,
First meeting in September, we are going to adopt the budget and set the tax rate.
okay.
That
So,
is the plan.
okay, I mean, I can, before next meeting, I can try to get with WatchGuard, because I don't know if Axon will have that kind of
It's just public.
We haven't
will have
proposed it.
that kind of deal or not, but I can always try to get some kind of something put together from them and see what it would cost just to get the one. And but I am gonna have to upgrade my software if I do that as well, because they said this one's out of date, that they won't even mess with it anymore, other than trying to just fix the little bit that they can. Or I can see if it'll last me till next year, and then we can revisit that second one next year. I don't know. I just wouldn't get the opportunity to put that on the Axon end of it, but you know, maybe with the WatchGuard I can, you know, in the contract.
Okay, do y'all have any other questions for Angelica? No. Okay, do y'all want to add the Axon contract 1 or 2 radios, or I mean, not radios, so body cams to her actual budget? What's your pleasure?
I say, just present us, oh, go ahead, Gary.
No, I just gonna say just, I think one's enough for now and, put it on our budget.
Me too.
Okay, all right, we'll figure that, work that into your budget, Angelica, for the one body cam.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Okay, so we shall update that info. Was there anything else on the budget that you needed us to look at?
I think I was a little confused with the SB 22 stuff that we were gonna add. Those in Mark's office and in Craig's office, if they were getting SB 22, the raise would just come out of the SB 22.
We're not gonna do that.
We're not doing that.
No.
Okay, all right. And you answered my question.
In this budget is,
Okay.
is correcting that.
Okay.
Where all those get the county raise and as well.
Okay, well, thank you.
So nobody's getting the SB 22 money out of the DA office?
Yes, they're still getting their SB 22.
But they're getting the county raise.
But they're getting the raise is going on their base county salary,
Okay,
just like it normally would, and then they get
When did we-
additional from the SB 22 funds.
I thought we decided last time not to do that.
We talked about that. We had some discussions. I think both Mark and Craig had some concerns that if the SB 22 money goes away and they were supplementing only the county raises with that, then the county's gonna have a big chunk of money to get them back up to where they should have been. So it's probably better just give them the county raise like they would normally get if that Senate Bill 22 money wasn't there, and use the Senate Bill 22 money for whatever they were gonna supplement. only.
So,
And my recommendation was not for, they never, ever, ever got a county raise ever again. I was just talking about this current year. Because
Yes.
next year.
So what was talked about in court?
nothing since this, I don't,
We discussed having the DA and the county attorney pay the county raises with the Senate Bill 22 money.
I don't think that's what we said. I think we were asking what their plans were and if it was a stipend.
But we can't tell them how to spend that Senate Bill 22
Yeah, we
money.
can. That's our, that's through our court.
I think so.
You
don't
still
think
have
so?
budgetary control.
Yes, we do.
They apply for it, but it did not, the SB 22 didn't change the statutory budget stuff for the court.
Right.
So if he came back and said, I want to give the whole 175,000 to my one person, y'all could say, no, that's not reasonable.
Just like the sheriff's with their SB 22 money.
I kind of like or understand the logic of, if we're gonna give raises to our employees, let's give raises to our employees and then treat that separate for their departments to make that decision and bring it to us for approval. But I kind of agree I do agree that if by chance we did this, I know for year one, but let's say, and I'm not saying it will, because I know they've done a lot of fireproofing this SB 22. But say it goes away next year. I mean, it just disappears. Well, now we got to bump all of those, even though it's not but we got to add 2,400 to the whatever decision we make next year. And I know that's kind of,
That's what you don't know.
yeah, we don't know. And that's why we don't want to put
Could put
a
us
big
in.
burden. Let's control what we can control and then allow
If we
them.
didn't have that money.
Yeah. Let's act as if like we kind of were with everything else that comes in. And there may be other grants.
And I'm not pushing for one or the other. I just wanted to throw.
Oh, yeah, I love discussion.
Do they?
I love optional
And
discussion.
I've had a conversation with Mark and Craig about, if they have a plan for that money, say they develop some kind of plan to hire a new investigator or whatever, then they're gonna come to us with that.
Oh, yeah.
So what,
So-
I mean, have they, we've had it for a while. Do they have a plan?
Mark, do you want to address that?
Oh,
Well, at this point, I don't anticipate adding an employee, but you never know what's gonna happen. Craig, I know has discussed that possibility of adding a new employee in the future, and the problem with. First off, I just follow the view, you guys really don't have the authority to say what that could be done with those funds. Just as far as that goes, that may or may not be right, but that's what we're getting, our information is getting. But even with all good intentions, we'll say this is just 1 year, well, next year we do the same thing. So within 10-year plan, then those funds are deleted or depleted to the point that we can't do them what the intended purpose of the funds are. Is to hire new employees and retention of employees. That's not the sheriff's office, but that's what the money is given for prosecutors.
so do we we had to apply for it. Was there an application with a plan at all, or just to get the money and then
It's
decide
just get
later?
the money. It's the weirdest thing. Alicia will tell you
It
that.
wasn't very well thought out, I don't think.
I mean, whenever I did the application, I had all my numbers and they're ready to go to tell them and for purpose of each or of the application. And after clicking 4 things, it said, thank you, your application is complete. The problem with the difference between this funds and the sheriff's office funds is I don't know a single DA's office, at least in this area, that's spending all the money, or a county attorney's office. I can't justify spending all the money. But then by the way it's set up, I can't spend it and have you guys cut the budget either. If that makes sense. The statute says you cannot punish me budget wise for use of those funds. And that makes sense because in 5 years from now, the money is gone and now my budget's all went down here.
Yeah.
You guys may or may not be here then. I mean, I know you guys all want to keep it fair and the same, but I've been on the board 22 years. I know how boards work. 10 years from now, new board, we're not gonna do that.
So
So-
with the numbers that you have, what was the original plan? What is the plan that you guys see going forward? I know
That.
you've talked about possibilities, but what,
The plan right now is I have 3 of my employees receiving those funds. That's the only plan I currently have. If you guys are to give a percentage raise, I'll consider bumping them up percentage wise for what they receive from me. But as far as, do I have a plan to hire an employee? I don't have that at this time. What we discussed with Cindy, what Craig and I would both like to do is to use those for part-time employees, to hire contract work, to hire an investigator to go do some work for me, to hire.
Or like the kid y'all had,
We had a summer intern this summer,
Yeah.
a law student.
seemed like a kid.
Those would be great, or hiring him to do legal research for me. But at this point, and Alicia could probably tell you this, when they started this grant per se, they had no rules.
Mhm.
And we're just learning the rules as we go along. I mean, I'm not, Alicia can maybe tell you a little better, she receives more information than I have. But originally, it was for hiring new employees or current employees in these specific areas.
It can only be used to supplement certain employees,
Certain employees.
hire new employees.
And we were originally told that the new employee hire had to be within those specified.
Like job titles,
Positions.
yeah.
They apparently do not. Now, we're not so sure if they can pay part-time out of it. So the first year, what they told us is just kind of
Try it out.
Apply for the
Practice.
funds and
and see how it goes. I hate the fact that we have to send money back, but I, as a prosecutor, I can't
Just by
do
spending
anything
that.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think I've heard too, when I went to the legislative conference in Austin last year, when was it Dan Patrick or?
Yep.
Yeah, when he was talking about it, and then Nancy, the secretary, they were saying these first 3 years will be a trial kind of thing to see how everything is, and then after that, they may take away some of the money if it's not necessary for some of the counties. It's gonna be evaluated. But they said, but rest assured, it's gonna be here forever. It just may not
Until
be
the
as
new
big until the new
legislature.
legislative comes in, so.
oh, they actually put it in, it has to be like a 70%
Yeah.
vote to get rid of it.
Yeah, and those are
Never
kind of
happened,
easy in today's America.
Really.
I mean, I feel comfortable that it's gonna be around, you just never know.
And it may not be as much. It may still be around. It just may not be as much.
And part of the reason it's because it's for smaller counties or smaller
rural.
areas.
Mhm.
If I had an assistant position, I'd have difficulty hiring my assistant position at any salary you guys would typically pay. Gray County still without an assistant over 4.5 years. Moore County has a second assistant. I think she may have hired somebody, but the position's been vacant for over 6 months. And so that's kind of what the purpose is, that you can bump up salaries or you're having difficulty to hire or raise people that you may leave or lose.
Right.
It's an odd thing. I mean, I want to spend the money to help the county, but I also don't want to set a precedent
Mhm.
that's going to cause issues in the future.
So in your employees, are you doing a percentage based on, like, I don't know, I mean, I don't think we ever said that to get the county raise out of the SB 22, my opinion was if there's gonna be a stipend of $5,000-$10,000 to their salary, I mean, that's additional, not to say find the raise out of that. So are you doing, I mean, is it a stipend? Is it like a percentage that you were talking with them about, or?
What Craig and I did to make some of our employees equal, we agreed on a certain amount that we would bump our employees up to, at least the secretarial staff. And then I picked amounts I didn't really use percentages. I looked at market rate, I guess.
You can't use it for stipend.
I can't use for a stipend.
Basically, it's just to supplement their salary. So say they went from a $50,000 salary to a $70,000 salary, he would fund that 20,000
Right.
extra with this money.
You can't use it as a bonus.
Yeah, you
Um,
Kind of
can't-
one-time payments.
Can't do that at all. And the weird thing is, which I don't understand, is we have to collect the money, hold the money, collect interest on the money.
But we have to
money
send the
back.
interest back too.
And you can
Send it all
only pay
back.
overtime. with it.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, appreciate you guys.
Okay, anything else? Thanks for raising that. One, good conversation. Anything else on the budget? Well, the plan is next meeting to set the budget and the tax rate. September 9th. Got to give Carrie plenty of time to get all that info on the, yeah, in the computer. So that gives her a couple weeks, right? Before the deadline. Okay. So study all that info that Alicia has sent y'all, so we make some good decisions about that. Okay, Alicia, anything else on that? You guys, anything else on the budget? Look at it.
Oh, there's one thing that I
Mhm.
wanted to throw out, and I think I had talked to somebody. So on maintenance, we've got a part-time janitor for each location. We have a part-time budget set for courthouse maintenance. Would it be beneficial to hire another maintenance person that could rover to all of the other locations and mow the grass, so we didn't have to contract that out? Or do minor repairs that we didn't have to call a plumbing company to change out a toilet flapper, or to do the cleaning as well at these other locations, just have kind of a maintenance department, personnel.
You don't,
Where we could have somebody who could do a lot of that stuff instead of paying other people to.
I don't know why you bring that up, because we've been having these discussions for a while,
Yeah,
but,
we talked a little bit about it last year, didn't we?
yeah, those discussions have already been had, and I don't. But anyway,
I changed the stuff at my facilities on the minor stuff. I mean, mine would be cleaning. Laura's got the mowing taken care of at the library.
You're stuck with that now.
Mine would be like the cleaning and the mowing possibly, but like toilet flappers and stuff. I mean, they call me and I'm not gonna waste $120 on changing a $20 part, so. That's, my facilities would be like the cleaning.
I think some of us have talked about this, and I think it'd be good within the next year to come up with having another person on board.
We used to have a full-time person at the annex.
Well, Ben and I just talked about this last.
Yeah, it's what's really kind
Yeah.
of strange just being brought up now, because we just had that conversation about, I don't know, a few days ago.
Yeah,
And I think it'd be a little overloaded to do it this year, but I think within a year from now, we should consider that.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
We need to give that some more thought. Move in that direction if that's what we want to do.
But I think the people taking care of us want me to be making the decision. Anyway.
Okay, anything else on the budget? Yeah.
Yeah, I did a little comparison on, we was talking about what elected officials make, and how we stand in the state.
Mhm.
It's kind of interesting to run all the numbers and see where that's at. If you run them numbers on 254 counties, we're a lot higher up the ladder than I thought we were. Considerably higher than I thought we were.
Yeah.
And then if you do under 50,000 population, there's 104 counties under 50,000, and if you want to do those numbers, the under 50,000 at the 104 counties, just to give you an example, county judge is number 7, commissioners are 41, treasurer's number 8, county attorney's actually number 1 without supplements, and number 4 with supplements. But it just keeps going along the same pattern, it's county clerk's number 9, district clerk number 10, auditor number 15, sheriff number 26, and so on. It's, we're going to quit putting this off, eventually do something about it.
We're ready to talk about it. Yeah,
I mean, ever
Had to
since
solve
I've
it
been
every
here, every year this has been brought up.
Yeah.
Elected officials make too much money. We're gonna talk about it next year.
Mhm.
It's happened every year.
Yeah.
Next year we'll work on this. Yeah, next year we'll do this. Well, eventually we need to have it next year.
Do you have a solution?
let's dive in.
Well, first thing you gotta do is you do realize that this isn't just elected, this is appointed department heads also. Because they're making right up there with the elected. So they can't keep getting raises if elected don't. Eventually you're going to have to freeze these wages to let it catch up.
Well, I remember, I don't know if it was last year, Kathy was here. We talked about salary caps and per capita based on how big our county is. If the county did increase in numbers, then maybe a review. Matter of fact, Judge, I recall when we talked about it, you even suggested a freeze for some of them.
You know,
And I kind of like that. I thought it was a good idea.
I don't wanna ever cut wages, but eventually you gotta have a freeze and say, okay.
Yeah.
Let's catch up with the race here.
Yeah.
And, cause we're outpacing theirs. And you know, the commissioners don't look so bad. We're number 41 out of 104, but we are, cause most of those commissioners take care of their own roads and stuff. That don't happen here. We don't do all that. So we're kind of overpriced. And, it's gonna have to be fixed. It's one of these days, you keep going,
Well, as we said, our salaries will be so exuberant, we won't have enough money for services and equipment and stuff like that. So
we
we,
all sit here and look at each other.
yeah, we just stare. So we do have to figure out, and I wish, I love what Chris and Kathy worked on about when we do raises on longevity. I think that was something Chris brought up 2 years ago. And I thought, oh, that's cool. Don't know anything about it, but I thought that was kind of a neat.
I like the longevity idea. I don't really care for starting pay being different because as far as
Be hard to,
that's not fair.
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
now, if you were a single position like a sheriff or something, that's different. But when you got like 4 commissioners, 2 constables,
Everybody
APs,
end up making different money.
yeah, it'd be, and I feel bad for the treasurer's office because they're like, oh, wait, this precinct does this. So, yeah, it'd be confusing.
You know,
They just put a formula in on longevity. It's
Yeah.
like deputy, like all
I think that'd be
longevity,
cool.
it's all different.
You know, we're pretty much in the top 20% and everything, well, higher than that, but you take the 254 counties. You know, if we did it statewide, judge is number 46, commissioners 106, treasurers 51, county attorney is always at the top. It's number 12 in the state. And then the other departments, you know, county clerk, district clerk, are 59, 58, 64, they're all run about the same. But we're the top 25% of everything with all the big counties.
Yeah.
And probably top 10, 15 in the smaller county. I just wanted to bring up that every year we talk about this and it's never been addressed.
But a lot of times it's mentioned and it's just quiet because we don't want
Yeah.
to.
We don't make anybody mad.
Another
Well,
year,
guess what?
Yeah, I'm glad.
I like
to hear
that
you
we're
say
talking
that.
about it.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to address it. People get mad, they get mad. I don't care.
Well, I love, Monica brought up something last year or 2 years ago, actually. You know, when we make these decisions, we got to be careful because I recall one of her comments was her subordinate, which, and I know that word sounds negative, but the person under her was only like $1,200 less than what she was making. So we do have to keep that gap somehow where, you know, if we freeze department heads and we freeze elected officials, if that's something we decide to do, we also have to keep in mind that how long and where, how do we do this? So the second in command is not like $100 less than the supervisor.
But it also comes into. So what we said, you know, what I mentioned last time, you had the way you fix that gap is to either raise the higher one or lower the lower one. And so if we're gonna piss people off, we've got to trust our department heads are gonna drop some of the base pay too to equalize that out, because some of the,
So you're talking about new hires, like when they hire someone
Right,
in,
exactly.
Give them,
start them at a lower rate.
right,
yeah, and I think we've
To where it
kind of been
equals
doing
that,
that a
yeah,
little
yeah.
bit, haven't we?
Well, some,
it's up to.
yeah, it's up to the
Oh.
elected.
But if they don't want to get that gap closed, then that's up to them to solve that.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
And, you know, that's what the department heads are hired for, is to maybe bear the brunt of some of that heat too, of the salaries dropping and, but yeah, I mean, like, I've said it a few times, I mean, elected officials leave. We've got to have some solution, because elected officials after 20, 30 years of service leave, then somebody comes in and on day one, they're making the exact same that the elected official has made for 30 years. And then say that, you know, the deputies, we have deputies that work there, minus the longevity stuff, they're making the exact as the deputy on day one. And so the longevity kind of gets them. I know that's gonna change next year, but
We're doing that with elected officials. So say Kelly's gonna be making this, she's always made this, but you decide a new one's not gonna make this, so whenever, if she were to get beat out. And
The person running against her can say, vote for me, because I'm gonna lower.
That's what Mark Snyder brought that up last year when we talked about that.
you can't use that rationale to not make it better for the taxpayers, though.
But I think, you know, this
you would
isn't
have
gonna
to
happen
say
in
this
no
is what
day
the
or two.
salary's
Yeah.
Gonna be regardless of whether you've been there for 12 years or you're brand new.
This isn't gonna happen in no day or two, but if it don't get started, it's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to figure it out. And it's gonna have to be addressed.
Well, Carson County, I looked at some of their stuff. They did a percentage rate for cost of living. And I think it was 1.7. I don't know what Dan said, but then they did a longevity raise for those who've been there. They added more to the longevity. And again, when Chris and Kathy brought that up a couple years ago, that was new to me. I didn't know. I've seen longevity on a lot of budgets. But I never knew what that was, and I didn't even know you could mess with it.
One of
I
the
like
things-
the longevity, I do.
Yeah, I think it's a great
You
idea.
have to be okay with the head making maybe less, because say you've got a first deputy who's been here for 30 years and you've upped her longevity, and then you have a brand new official come in, the longevity may, plus her base salary may be more than what their boss is going to be. Which is, I'm not saying is wrong. You've been here for 30 years, you should be.
Well,
Well, we fixed that because we had that with Nancy in the library. Remember, her second made more than she did. Was it more or kind of close to each other? And so we had to bump the director, the library director, because her associate or assistant was making more than she was at that time.
But it comes to the point, the longevity, if they're there and they don't want to apply for a director spot or something, I mean, that's what they deserve. The base pay would stay the same. So they're technically not making more on base pay, they're making more on longevity.
Right.
So when you explain it,
Rewarding
it's
them
not,
for years of service.
they're making more not on base pay, they're making more because they've been there for 30 years, and it's not them making more. So that's what, I mean, we talked about that a couple of years ago.
But as a supervisor, that is so hard. It only works in the NFL where the coach makes less than the player or the NBA. But in the secular world or in this world, it is really tough to be the boss of somebody who makes more than you do. Well, we live that. I mean, most of them.
well,
I mean, if they
you
don't.
took like the longevity is one thing, but performance is another too.
Yeah, we have to do evaluation.
It's going to be based off performance.
Yeah.
If you don't do a good job, you're gonna make less money. That doesn't necessarily work for counties too well, but, all this will be taken into account. And,
Well, like the judge says, who's gonna work on it? How we
I don't know, but I've listened to it, this going on the fourth year, and it hasn't happened yet.
Because it's said, and then we sit there until it gets awkward, and we move on.
Make a decision and then we forget about it after the budget's adopted and nobody
We don't.
talks about it again until.
We don't forget about it. We
That's the
mentioned
whole
it.
point, that's why we're talking about it now,
Sit
trying
there
to figure it out.
It's awkward enough that somebody else says, anybody else have anything? Let's go on. So I mean, we've got to dig I've said it several times, I mean, we've got to dig our heels in the sand and be okay with upsetting people and holding ourselves accountable too, and upsetting people and doing our job here and bearing the brunt and then finding a solution. And then the people will gripe for 2 or 3 years, but then that becomes the norm. And if people don't like it, they won't take those jobs. I mean, we have to fix the situation.
There has to be a happy medium. I mean, you won't have no people applying for work if you don't pay a decent wage, but.
And I have had people say that when I've mentioned that. I'm not talking about dropping people's salaries to like poverty wages. We're talking about making it life sustaining for our employees and life sustaining for our taxpayers, because
We do have a problem in this county, which it's a good problem, but we are competing for labor with Gulf Petroleum, all the plants.
And that's what I
Right
always
here,
heard
that
told
other
was
counties don't have.
told was the reason why our salaries were where they're at.
The top 26 counties and leave Potter and Randall out. Those other 24 don't have this. They don't have these plants. They don't have the, you can go.
And they don't have to compete with
No. and
someone
so
like that for quality people.
You do have to take that in consideration. So using these numbers as a comparison is, yeah, for sure. But we're not all the same. So,
so do you have a solution on, I didn't mean that a challenging way. Do you have ideas of like how to solve it? I'm glad you brought it up.
yeah, I do, but it's gonna be like being in business. You're gonna make some people mad. And if you're not prepared to do that, don't start it. Because it's not gonna make everybody happy.
Make people mad.
But sometimes you just gotta do that. You gotta make the decision and go with it.
Well, I know y'all know I'm huge on job descriptions and evaluations, and I feel that's very effective. And of course, with county evaluations, the job performance evaluations, they don't have to be tied to raises, but they can be tied to next steps, like levels of where they go and all of that. But it also helps in if an employee leaves or is terminated, if you have the documentation because of the evaluations and things. So there's so many different avenues in which you could look at in regards to this. But I really feel like what I have felt is our department starting their employees at a lower rate, not a impoverished rate, but at a lower rate, however many department employees you have. And then also possibly us elected officials, and I say us on purpose, and again, Dwight's opinion, not the consensus. I like what Judge said last year was, what about a freeze for a couple of years?
I'm 100% in favor of a freeze, and I'm not in favor of lowering wages.
Yeah.
But I am 100% in favor of just stopping that increase until you get more in line.
Yeah.
And, but we start with the elected folks, not other employees.
Yeah.
If we can't set the example, we don't need to be making the rules.
Agreed.
If you
I like
do
that. Thank you.
So
if you do that, it will catch up.
It will catch up, but you also don't forget that those department heads that are making right there with elected are included in this.
Yeah.
So,
so you're talking about just like a freeze, just
stop
make
it
sure
where
I'm
it's at.
for everybody? Or are you just
No, I'm
talking
not
about
talking
the
about-
elected?
I'm talking about if you go back to the other individuals here, that's not out of line so much. It's not, the elected is out of line on some areas, but every elected's not out of line the same.
Yeah.
So how it got to where it's at, I have no clue.
Well, there are organizations. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, now you're getting into talking about evaluating elected officials again, which a month ago we.
Well, yeah, but you can't.
But we've got.
You're gonna have to stop it and then let it catch up. And then there's some that are, I don't know, is it evaluating an elected official? Well, maybe, but there's some that's out of line. And, you start saying them names out loud, then we open the can of worms.
That's our job though, sometimes.
So,
If we're gonna fix it, we're gonna have to talk out loud.
But, well, I know pretty much with many of you,
Guys.
with many of you and some of the other elected officials, we've had this discussion. We've talked at times about salaries and things. And I honestly can say most elected officials, and I haven't talked to all of them. I want to be clear, I haven't talked to all of them. Most of them are okay with evaluating their salaries.
I think so. I've not heard anything.
Yeah, I haven't heard anyone say, you touch my salary, I'm coming after you. I mean, I don't know. I've never heard anybody say that, nor with the accent that I just added.
Well, the problem is this will take a little while to get this ironed out, what you want to do, but you could stop it and freeze it and say, okay, let's put this on hold. Let's work on this. Let's figure it out. Well, it's gonna take a lot of discussions for everybody to be on the same page.
Well, I have
Well,
to
now that-
say, I'm proud. I'm excited, actually. Y'all have made me super excited
Now
today,
that we have,
just by talking about it.
But what's going on now is
Honestly-
not sustainable.
correct. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, I mean, since. I mean, and. I was gonna sound weird. I was trying to think of how to word it. I mean, I said it in 2019 and I was the only one on the court that, I mean, everybody looked at me like I kicked their dog. And so now that we're getting to that point where we have at least 3 people that are willing to kind of tick off some people possibly if we work together. I'm glad to have that conversation, but if we're gonna have it, we have to include our employees, our elected officials over the next year and
I love that.
bring them to the
In that
table
Conversation.
and say that we've got to come to a solution. Meet us at the table. You might not like the solution, but be a part of it. And so,
It's,
I mean, it's something that's gonna have to be addressed. And so
it's
I'm
gotta be
glad,
done.
I'm
Yeah.
glad but if we've got to stick together though and not.
That's what I
let it
like
get
about
silent
you.
and awkward and push through
Just
it.
stare at everybody. What I like about you is how you
Don't say that.
don't say that.
Don't say anything.
So there's a commissioner that I like, something about him. I won't say who it is, but he wants to involve all the elected officials in the
I
discussions.
think that's the only
I
way you
love
can
it.
have that.
I love that.
discussion.
I think it's great. And I think the other commissioners also feel that way as well. I don't know. I can't speak for
I
y'all.
think we do.
Me and Ben, we were
Yeah,
talking,
it's not just me.
Ben, Bob Dole, I'm Bob Dole. But individually, I think it's a great idea. Thank you for bringing that up, Ben.
When you run the numbers though, it's, you just need to, and, you'll see where our problems are. These other counties are not. They're not like us. So how did we get to this point? Lord knows, I don't know. But it's getting out of control.
So am I making any changes to the budget as it is right now?
Do what?
Am I making any changes to the budget as it is right now?
No, this is,
No,
Left.
yeah,
Okay.
budget's good for this year.
but what I like is, no, go ahead. Mine's just fluff.
Yeah,
He said, yeah.
for always. So for me, I mean, we've already mentioned that to our employees and they have made plans and stuff, but we've got to fix this over the next year. Are y'all willing to I mean, y'all know this is unsustainable, right? I mean, everybody
Yeah.
agrees.
Yeah,
Yes.
Are y'all willing to come to the table with us and not see it as like an attacking venue? Like we just work together to try to find a solution, including us, like all of
can we
ourselves,
say something?
I-
So
100%.
I can tell you that with any new officer coming into the sheriff's office or new corrections officer coming into the jail, that we also, if we start them out at full pay, we also look at their years of service behind that badge. If somebody's coming in and they've already been in law enforcement for 17 years, we're gonna start them out at full pay. We look at everything. And if that's somebody that's brand new, came out of the academy, or that's only been on the streets for a couple of years, we're not gonna do it at full pay. Same thing as a jailer. You know, if we have to send them to jail school, we're not gonna be full pay. They've got to get through the whole year, do the jail school, and then they look at everything, because each person is paired with a field training officer. And we also look at the valuations as well, because they are evaluated. And I will tell you from other employees of the county that do come and talk to me, and I will not mention names, they would love if we could evaluate our elected officials. They've talked about that. They talked about when y'all are gonna talk about salaries, to let everybody know, and they would love to have an open discussion about it. I do know that they've also mentioned the fact that maybe commissioners, at one point in time, I think it was discussed last year, of dropping your salaries almost $20,000. I think that was.
I think it was 10.
At 10?
Yes.
Thousand, but because somebody brought it up about only being here twice or 3 times a month, and then some of the things that you do, because you're not here all day long in the office as a bunch of the personnel, but the fact of dropping some of your salaries, or, you know, but people, your employees do want to talk about the salaries, and it is like, they are comparing it to the city of Warner, they're comparing it to the plant, you know, all those other places, you know, and they are getting a lot of money. And, you know, at the last commissioner's court, they had mentioned that the, inflation has dropped. Well, according to my pocketbook, it hasn't dropped. It's still there. It hasn't raised, but it hasn't lowered, but it's still there. And who's to say it could go up? But inflation, you know, by the time you go to the grocery store and you end up with one bag and pay over $100, we have a problem. So I do appreciate the $200 a month raise. And I know a whole lot of other employees do too. We weren't expecting that. Would we elect more? Yes, but we'll take what we can get. But by the time you take out taxes, it is what it is. And we do love working for the county and, you know, the benefits that we are getting. But they would love to attend some kind of meeting, if you y'all can set it somehow for an employee to discuss and let them have a hearsay.
We have those right
A lot
now.
of them do not know.
Yeah, that's.
Well,
That's cool.
We're doing.
Do not know what the salary is gonna be, go on and talk about. They would love that.
so I do need to clarify, just for proper etiquette.
Every year.
Yeah, the department heads, you talk to your departments. Then the department heads talk to the
Yeah,
commissioners.
That's.
Yeah,
that's
we
the process.
can't have, yeah, there has to be a hierarchy established so that there's cohesiveness. Because of course, you know, when I wasn't a department head of an organization, I'd love to tell the department heads what I thought and the bosses what I thought, the district managers, so on and so forth. But there's a hierarchy. So when we talk about involving everybody, and what I'm taking from that is we would involve the department heads and the elected officials. Now, if they want to talk to their employees and kind of get their consensus, then they can be their spokesman or spokeslady in that area. But it's not a, hey, everybody who works for the county, all 130 of you guys, come and tell us what you think about your pay. That could get chaotic and it could be very dangerous.
But that's, so that's.
Well, that's.
Yeah.
Also, so.
Yes.
Yes,
I
these are
public
public,
hearing.
I
yes.
mentioned to you about the Survey Monkey thing that I'm gonna start like a Survey Monkey where
Yeah.
all the employees can give that opinion back. Because, you know, you guys come to us and say you don't understand what we do, and that is true.
It's true.
But you guys also don't understand what we do sometimes. So I mean, you need that.
You don't understand it all sometimes.
I mean, well, that's our faults on both sides. I mean, if you want to come up, and all joking aside, if you want to come up and mow Sunday afternoon with me, I mean, because that's, you don't, it's not for the commissioners, it's not just 2 meetings a month. Just like, you know, with the JPs, it's not just like go see a body on like 3 PM on the afternoon. You know, there's a lot of things that we don't understand on both sides. And so, right, exactly. And so, I mean, there's a lot of, that's why the last
Just gonna put
2
that in.
years, I mean, you guys coming here and sitting here and being part of it. I mean, when I first started out, it was Kathy, I think, was the only one in here. And then, I mean, Carrie would come during the tax stuff, but I mean, unless they had to be here, y'all wouldn't, a lot of people weren't here. And so I like that there's more people here. They don't see it as such like an attacking. We ask questions to do our jobs, not.
I like to see input all year long. not just during budget or something when you got a objective to be here.
Because the only feedback we get is after we make a decision and it's the wrong one.
Right.
And that, I mean, we don't get any. Not that we need pats on the backs, we don't get anything like, hey, that was a good meeting. They were like, oh, there was a meeting, what'd y'all do? And we tell them, you're like, oh, that was way wrong. I would have said this. Well, you had 3 months to tell us, like, check the agenda. So, I mean, there's a lot of problems that we need to solve, not just salary, but there's a lot of problems we need to solve
Yeah,
that we've got to work together, dig in our heels, have some uncomfortable talks and
I believe that.
make the solution.
But the whole county needs to come together and, you know, bring up, everybody needs to realize that we all work for the county, we're all taxpayers as well.
Right.
We're for the citizens, but it would be nice too, even though the commissioners have their own precincts, but some people don't even know what our building looks like down at the annex. Some people don't even know what the jail looks like. And it's, you know, honestly, we have some employees that don't even know to this day we have an airport. And it's just pretty, oh yeah. Well, it's pretty sad, you know, that you have people that don't go to the library or never step foot into the museum, and it, you know, we just got to get people to out and bring a morale up or something, you know. Get people to come and visit the other offices and more than welcome to come in and see what I do.
Is this public hearing?
I don't care. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Thanks that way.
So,
Wait, the judge has to authorize whether you.
Yeah,
can
yeah,
come
go
up.
ahead.
Okay,
That's fine.
thank you. So for a while, I thought the salaries were getting out of hand here. So just to give you a comparison. So Lena Hidalgo, if y'all know who she is, she's the county judge for Harris County, which is Houston, 4th largest county in the US. She makes under 200,000. So I know she's got problems deluxe. So when you go out to gov salaries, I mean, it shows every employee all the way down to the maintenance person.
We get a book from TAG.
that shows
That's
you.
the salary schedules for everybody.
So you see these salaries and those on the working people, they're within line. I'll say that. It's the upper echelon that seems to have gotten out of hand in comparison to the other counties within our area. The same cost of living, the property taxes are closely the same. And so I just feel like we really, in the upper echelon, need a cut, not just a freeze, there needs to be a cut. Because secondly, between the revenue you bring in and your expenditures, you're not even saving 100,000 from what I can see. And yet you have other counties that are saving millions. And as I mentioned, this county is aging out where it's a freeze. It's going to be a homestead freeze. And so you're not going to have income coming in that's going to offset the cost of living as it expands. And so to me, we need to start putting some money back. Now, if there is some savings somewhere. I'd
There
like to hear
is,
it too.
there is. We have
We have a reserve,
about 12, is it 12,000? 12
million.
12 million.
12 million. Yeah.
Okay.
We do.
We've got about six months of operating expenses at
Yeah.
all times.
But that's filed
Oh,
yearly budget.
Cover 1 year. Because you're sensitive.
Well, and that was,
Seeing in
that was
expenditures.
for, as of our
Audit.
fiscal year 23 audit. And so,
That's-
24, we will be putting more into that. I mean, so it's growing every year.
But also as a taxable entity, you don't want a whole lot of savings. You want to spend as much as you can for tax dollars.
And one thing with Hutchinson County that makes us kind of unique is our industry and our oil and gas.
Oil and gas.
And so our taxable values, I don't have it with me, but I've got a graph that I showed. And the taxable values for Hutchinson County goes directly in correlation with whatever the values are of the minerals and the industry. Our property from home and personal business
It's-
property taxes, it's very.
And I
it's
couldn't
a
find a
very
separation of
small-
what was property taxes for revenue versus.
Yes.
The refineries.
It's
I
a
couldn't find
small chunk of our pie. So the major money that we get is from all the industry and the.
Okay. The other thing to keep in mind, is I was always told in HR, is you're paying for a position, whoever fills it. I mean, if their qualifications are up here and we only need it here, you're paying for the position, not the person. And so you need to keep that in line, with, when you do your raises. Also, it's the aspect, I'm not sure I agree with the longevity pay. I mean, I kind of do and then I kind of don't. I've been in the workforce for so long. I've seen people that have been there a long time and they weren't worth it at all. They needed to go. But yet the people that did the great performance are the ones who got very little. So I don't know. I would like for y'all to reevaluate that.
Elected officials have to be evaluated by the pop list.
Right, that's
Yeah.
what the tax voters.
I'm
So that-
talking about
Yep.
probably your department heads when you're looking
Yeah.
at their pay, and that's not y'all's decision.
Yes,
But again, thank you for an opportunity to speak. I do believe that we do need to get a handle of this then. Because I am going to bring this to the media. Tara's already here, but I think the taxpayers, majority of them are ignorant. You know, they don't even know what's going on. As you said, they don't even know there's airports and museums and everything here. But I intend to educate them pretty quick that they're taxpayers and they need to be involved with what's happening. I have another issue, but I'll see you next meeting.
Thank you, Mary Kay. Yes, Monica.
I think ignorant is a poor choice of word.
yes, I agree.
But,
Do you want to come up here so the microphone will pick you up?
I just have something real quick.
Okay. She said no.
When we talk about salaries, I'm not talking about, department heads, but jailers, for example. When we want to compare their salaries to Gray County or Carson County, the other things we need to talk about are retention. Their turnover rate, because if you're gonna compare a $60,000 wage and a $40,000 wage, but they have people that are staying 6 to 12 months, that's not feasible either. You're getting what you pay for a lot of times. So I just want to be able to talk about.
Yeah, and that
those things
helps.
If we're gonna talk about dollars also.
And that helps us too. I mean, as we can justify why you guys do what you do. Because, I mean, you get stopped at United, but we also get stopped at United on y'all's behalf, like, why is this going on in the jail, or why is this? And so the more we can talk, the more we both have the answers and we know why we decided what we do, and I think that's awesome.
But it still goes
Yeah,
back,
it's-
it still goes back to your department head. So I have to say, you know, I understand what you're saying, Monica, but that would be your sheriff bringing it to us and writing it in his or her budget of, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to work on tenure. I want to work on retention. And so it really, and I want us as a court, Dwight's opinion, to be careful that we're not just, tell us what your beef is. Tell us what you're upset. Open that up for the whole county. Because that gets us out of whack. Because imagine if I was a department head and my employee that works under me, who I hired or comes and says, I'm going over you and I'm going to talk to the commissioner's court, even though the commissioners aren't quote unquote their bosses. Imagine watching in a public meeting, your subordinate literally saying, you're not doing your job. Publicly. So there has to be a balance. And I go back to what I said. The balance is department heads, talk to your people, find out what their beefs are. And I mean, department heads, elected officials. When I say that, they're the same. Department heads, elected officials, talk to your departments, find out what their concerns are, but also be logical when you hear it and not a people pleaser when you hear it, because it's easy to go, I know those commissioners, they don't do this. Stand up, be a boss and say, you know, well, here's what we're doing. Here's what I'm doing for my department. But then collectively, department heads, elected officials, we all get together and talk about the solution. In this, either in this or in a workshop, but anytime there's three of us, it will have to be public notice about that. But we can have those discussions. I just want to be careful that we're not, because if Ben's employee comes to me to complain or has issues with their salary or their treatment, the first thing I'm going to say to that employee is, have you talked to Ben? I mean, come and talk to me. Yes, I'm just going to listen and go, oh, I hate to hear that. Have you talked to Ben? If that employee says, no, I haven't, then I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't do anything. He is your supervisor. Unless it's criminal harassment or falls under the legal stuff. But if it's just a beef with raises or no raises or work schedules, I mean, that's a department head employee thing. So we kind of have to balance this out, because if we open it up for everyone can say what they want to say about everything, we are a public entity. They have that right to do it. They just need to sign up at the beginning of the meeting and share what their beefs are. But as a organization, as the county, we have to operate department heads, elected officials. And then now the Survey Monkey stuff, that can be something that brought up, but.
And I will say, if you do come to me and you've already talked to your people, I'm gonna tell you, there's a grievance process too, that we have to
Yes.
follow on those two. So the grievance.
Yeah.
I mean, there's checks and balances, but I want everybody, that sounds like
Yeah,
2024. I want
don't-
everybody to be heard. So, but like, talk to your department heads first.
Yeah, department head, it has to be.
It's America.
Department heads should know what's going on in their
They should.
department. They should.
And they should be at least, yeah.
Yeah. It's just like us. Nobody knows how many hours I spend out there. When y'all are off on Fridays, I'm working a lot of times. My pickup, personal pickup, and my gasoline is bought by me. That's incorporated in my salary.
So I got a Highlander, it's better gas mileage.
I just called Chris to come pick me up and use his gas.
But, you know, all I'm saying is, there's a lot of things that people don't take into consideration.
We have you start looking at what other people do and look at what we do, we got some things to fix, and that's what we need to work on.
And I'm glad we're talking about it. Thank
And
you.
I just hope this time next year, we have some answers for this.
We're gonna start working on it now for next year.
Yeah.
If we get here next year, nothing's been done like it has the last 30, then ooh, tempers may start flaring.
Well, I just love y'all's willingness to discuss it. Thank you. That's awesome. I'm excited.
Ben's head of the committee.
He said Ben's head of the committee.
I found out I'm not the greatest at committees.
Let's fix it though.
Yeah, thank y'all.
I'm looking at my calendar.
And a hush fell over the crowd.
Now I'm just looking at my calendar. I will, I'll tell you this, some day in September,
Do what?
someday in September, we will have a meeting to, I'll have to get in there with Siobhan and find out for sure, because I see a couple days that are free, but I don't know if that's a tentative something, so. And we will send a email out to all the elected officials and department heads and get together and open this discussion up.
Well, if you wanted to wait till after the budget year, I'm
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it'll be after the budget,
Oh, I mean, October.
because we're gonna set the
October.
budget in
Right.
September, the 1st of September.
Yeah.
We'll be done. It'll be after that. September the 9th is our next meeting, of which
And we
we plan.
set the budget or we propose the budget?
No, we set it. We've already proposed the budget. We're gonna adopt the budget and adopt the
Oh,
tax rate
Oh, okay.
all on September 9th.
Oh, okay.
Because we gotta give Carrie time to get her work done after that.
Or Carrie will be
So,
agreeing.
so that's why I'm telling you, if y'all have any questions on the budget or anything you need to change on that, we need to get it done today, so Leisha has time to, so we'll be prepared to set the tax rate.
I think everything,
Y'all good with that?
but if you can't fit it in your schedule in September, October, November.
September, October, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, just as long as we start
We
the
just gotta maybe
conversation.
throw this on the rug.
Let's do it at the employee appreciation bank.
What'd
What'd you say?
Let's do it at the employee appreciation bank.
Yeah. While we got you all here.
You give it a shot. We'll see how that works.
Yeah, I just, like Ben said, we don't want to wait till June or July of next year to say, oh yeah, salaries.
I know there's gonna
Right.
be a lot of arguments. There's gonna be a lot of, this touchy subject.
It is.
So, it's gonna take a little time.
Sure,
I have to do a wine tasting during the meeting.
definitely.
For one.
Not even drink. but
Yeah.
have it.
Got a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on the budget?
Last year, that wasn't on there for approved disposal of office equipment.
Yeah, it's in the consent agenda.
Oh, yeah, okay. I wasn't thinking about that.
I forgot to ask.
And the pictures were on there, the coolers.
I thought that's where y'all were going, or I would have pulled that out, but
Yeah, that
I forgot to pull it out.
yeah,
Well, if you want to, go ahead.
yeah, we can pull it out.
We've already approved it. I just go. We have that on.
We approved disposal.
Right, but we talked about putting it on Purple Wave for those coolers over there. And, the reason we're not doing that is because we're kind of having to tear them apart somewhat to get them out of that building. There's not going to be much left. And then they don't have compressors in them either. The compressors are on the roof. All they are is just a cooler with an evaporator. That's all they are. They're just a box with an evaporator. They're not one-piece coolers. So.
I trust you.
So you
But the
literally.
plan is just to have someone come pick them up for salvage.
Yeah, just.
So they probably, sorry, I didn't mean to.
Just weigh them out and they're just salvage and, actually, there's a guy here local that he'll salvage them for them, but they're not giving nothing for them. But there's 13 of the coolers inside. There's 2 of the box coolers in the storage in the back. They have to be they have to be destroyed to get out of there.
So they assembled, like they brought them in and assembled.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were assembled in there.
So they have to be destroyed to be ready.
Completely tore apart.
Gotcha.
They're just insulated boxes.
I'm fine with that.
So
Makes sense.
they're just junk.
Okay.
There will be nothing left of them time to get them out anyway.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other comments about the coolers?
I mean,
Okay. All right, if there's nothing more, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion and second, any discussion? All in favor?